This is the October shipwreck incident in South Korea that caused a great shock at the time. The scene was taken by a high school student with his mobile phone in the last moments of his life. The South Korean government said that this was an accidental shipwreck, but the truth is that this was a collusion between officials and businessmen, government inaction and inhumane massacre. Japan documented this incident, revealing the horrifying human sacrifice activity in South Korea. It was initially a beautiful graduation trip for a group of high school students. The original itinerary was to sail from Incheon port to Jeju Island for 4 days. However, due to the heavy fog that night, the cruise ship that was originally scheduled to depart at around 6 o'clock departed at around 9 o'clock. Over 300 high school students were in the cabin, sharing their post-graduation plans with laughter and joy. Sadly, with 3 hours remaining in the journey, the cruise ship unexpectedly tilted to the left and capsized while changing course at high speed. 3 minutes after the ship tilted, a notice was broadcasted on the radio, asking people to stay where they were and not move. The broadcast was repeated over 10 times in the capsized ship, providing the best opportunity for tourists to escape. Almost no one came to rescue in the first hour, but everyone knows that it takes 4 or 5 hours for a cruise ship as big as the 1988 to sink. More than 300 passengers, including students, children and the elderly, were full of trust in the country and firmly believed that someone would come to rescue them. Why hasn't there been any rescue operation in such a long time when the seawater flooded over their heads? A high school student got off the ship and it started to sink. During the 1-hour rescue, he did not listen to the crew and wait, but dialed 19 for help on his mobile phone. Moira City's Coast Guard received the call, but it was frustrating that they kept asking for professional terms and inquiring about his longitude and latitude, which seemed to be delaying time. Dexia told the Coast Guard that there were about 350 high school students waiting for rescue. The Coast Guard asked Dexia to hand the phone to the crew, but the strange thing was that there was no crew here at all. It turned out that as long as the passengers put on life jackets and jumped into the sea, someone would go to rescue them. The broadcast instructed everyone to stay put and not move. The captain and crew disguised themselves as passengers and fled the cabin to safety, leaving the children waiting foolishly. 40 minutes after the shipwreck, the Coast Guard rescuers arrived at the scene and responded to the call for help 9 minutes earlier than the crew. However, a week later, the remains were delivered to his parents. My mother's hair turned white overnight. A total of 296 people died in the shipwreck, 142 were injured, and 8 were missing. The extra 9 minutes could have saved more lives if used correctly. Park Seng-gi was a patrolman on a private fishing boat at sea. He was 40 kilometers away from the accident, but he put on a recording helmet and rushed to the scene. However, the scene in front of him made him dumbfounded. He saw the boat sinking quickly, but the rescue boats around him did not move and did not participate in the rescue. Park Seng-gi was unconcerned at that time and quickly approached. In October, the sinking ship called for rescue, and other boats took action. Jin Chengmo was on board, waiting for rescue near the 4th floor deck. He spotted the rescue helicopter in the sky, but it didn't descend to help. However, when he saw the students in the corridor, he decided to help them. However, the hull had tilted 90 degrees at the time. It was difficult for high school students to climb up along the hose. Seawater rushed in quickly, and everyone was unable to react. The October sank rapidly, with many people trapped in the ship and unable to escape. The ship was a living hell at that time, with echoing screams, cries, and sighs. Nearly 300 people followed the October and sank into the sea. Recalling the accident, the passengers who survived said it was a massacre. South Korea's official reason for the sinking of the Enterprise was that the cargo was seriously overloaded and not properly secured, and the rescue efforts at sea were insufficient. However, the documentary director found that things were not as they thought. It is said that during the period of waiting for rescue, the Blue House and the Coast Guard held an emergency meeting, but the content was not how to carry out the rescue, but to ask whether the photos of the scene had been leaked. They even ate ramen during the meeting. Other cruise ships require 15 days for annual inspection, but the trial month only took 2 days. The trial month has many problems, but it can pass the marine safety review. Collusion exists between officials and businessmen. Later, in the documentary, the October captain was imprisoned for 5 years and had cult beliefs. Could these 300 lives be his human trap? The October sinking revealed numerous issues in South Korea, such as government inaction and collusion between officials and businessmen. As parents of children buried at sea, we are so insignificant that we can only swallow our tears. In this small world, we just wish the deceased rest in peace.